How's it going, guys? Andrew Pillock Wrestling here, back with another video. And today I'm going to be talking about CM Punk. Now, this is a guy that I actually do look up to when it comes to his personal life because I am straight edge. When he came out with the straight edge gimmick, I was very happy about that. And I was actually really into it, to be honest with you. I went to a SmackDown event once where I actually held up a sign that said CM sucks. And this was before he did that gimmick. And once he did that gimmick, I was like, damn, like I feel bad for even bringing that sign. Like maybe he's seen it. I had decent seats. And speaking of that, I'm hoping to go to the Raw and SmackDown shows in Toronto this summer or towards September, I think August or September. That's besides the point. I'll do another video on that, maybe even a day in the life of if I go on that trip or whatever. Again, I'm getting off topic. I always do this. I used to do this all the time. But we're going to be talking about CM Punk and whether or not I think he could come back to the WWE. Now, a lot of people might think that this is just a long shot. Like, there's no way in hell it's going to happen. But if you guys have been following CM Punk outside of the WWE, his UFC career isn't going very well. And I can't see him getting another main card fight. I'm not a huge UFC fan. I actually can't even really call myself a fan. But I watched both of his fights. The first fight, I was actually really nervous for him. I'm not, again, in WWE, in the ring, I know he's one of the best of all time in my eyes, and I think that in a very short time, I know his career was quite long, but at the top, I think CM Punk has one of the best runs as WWE champion in the history of wrestling, and he defended his title like nobody else, basically. He defended his title all the time against really good opponents, to be honest with you, but in his first UFC fight, he looked lost. He got just destroyed. And I was like, okay, well, it's only his first fight. I mean, they weren't really expecting too much. I think he was facing Mickey Gall. I can't remember the guy he fought the second time, which was the most recent one. But I think Mickey Gall was like, somebody was saying like he was in a movie, like the Power Rangers, or I don't even know. Is that the same guy? I don't follow UFC enough to really know those guys. But in the second fight, he looked really like really bad. I'm trying to be as nice as I can, but I mean, I can't really sit here and criticize the UFC and the training you have to go through because he clearly worked a lot and he could probably knock just about anybody out who is, you know, talking smack about him behind the camera, including myself. But I'm not here to trash CM Punk and what he did in the UFC. I just don't think that he was, you know, the best in UFC, which he clearly wasn't. I don't think that it's his best idea to really go there and fight more than what he already has. And I know he fulfilled a dream. He's got his wife. You know, he's out of the WWE. He did what he needed to do. He's in the UFC, and again, that's a huge dream for him. He worked his ass off. He really worked to where he was, you know, where he needed to be. But in his first fight, he got destroyed. The second fight, he was facing another guy who hadn't won his fight. And they both didn't really look that great, but he definitely took way worse of shots. Like, he definitely took way more hits than the other guy did. And he ended up losing the fight, of course, like unanimously, I believe. And it's just not his place. The UFC isn't for CM Punk. And I know it's a draw, and Dana White probably makes money from it, but CM Punk can't be taking a spot from a guy who's, you know, probably won more fights and has more training. Like, Punk was just swinging around, throwing random kicks and stuff like that, and they weren't even connecting. And it's like, that doesn't really look great for the UFC if they've got a guy in there just kind of living the dream, not exactly landing his shots. So he's probably done with the UFC. He could fight somewhere else. There is other companies. Like, it's the same thing with WWE. Once you leave there, you've got options if other companies want you. And I'm sure there'll be independent wrestling companies that will look at Punk. There'll be other fighting, like Bellator. I don't even know all these boxing. He may try something there. But he's obviously going to try to stick around in the UFC, but I can't see them wanting to spend time hyping up a CM Punk fight once again. And, you know, we see guys like Brock and of course, Ronda, who probably could go back and still do a really good job. Punk could come to WWE and do fantastic, but he wouldn't be able to go back to UFC and do a good job unless he trained for a couple of years, but they won't give him another fight. The main point of this video is whether or not after all of that, could he come back to the WWE? Punk has done great for himself. He's been World Heavyweight Champion, I believe, multiple times. Money in the Bank multiple times. WWE Champion, of course, multiple times. And, you know, he's won tag titles, I believe. I'm not sure if Intercontinental Championship. I don't remember if he's won that title or not. Could I could just be completely missing out on something, but he's won a lot of championships, let's just put it that way. And his run at the top, his promos were better than basically everybody in the ring at that point when he was, the best in the world gimmick. And I think that if he did come back to WWE, it would take a lot of, fixing between him and Vince and probably Triple H and Stephanie and the McMahon family in general, and probably some guys in the locker room, because him and Cena, I don't really think they see eye to eye. I think they have respect for each other, but I'm not really sure if that's a great situation for them to be in. I'm not sure how much beef he has with other wrestlers back there. I know with some former WWE stars, he's probably still cool with. I think he's still cool with Mysterio. But him and Batista are pretty decent friends. There's a lot of guys that you could probably still talk to, but, Ray is coming back to the WWE, but guys like Batista isn't in the locker room right now, so I'm not really sure how many people he's still really close with. I think him and Cody were okay. Of course, they were with, in a tag team for the longest time, but not a tag team, but they were in like a kind of like a stable type of thing, or working with each other and stuff like that. So I'm not exactly sure how Punk would be able to come back and gain the respect of the entire locker room right away. It would probably take a little bit, but when it comes to in-ring, I'm pretty sure he would be able to come back in and just do his thing. He's always been like that. And of course with promos, he did some stuff on the mic with the UFC, and there's been cameras around him, so it's not like he would lose any of that. He would probably still be able to cut decent promos in WWE, probably great promos. But I'm just not sure how this would work. I don't think Punk wants to ever come back as well. Like, I just don't think he really wants to wrestle again, especially with the WWE. He's been on record saying he's done, his time is done there, but there's been people that have said they'll never come back to the WWE, and then it ends up happening. Like, of course, a guy like Bret Hart, that happened. We've seen the Ultimate Warrior come back so many years later, and rest in peace, of course. But there's been wrestlers that have just been looking like they would never come back, and then they do. And I think CM Punk is a guy that he would have to do it fairly soon, because I think a lot of wrestling fans either really like CM Punk or they really hate him. And I think right now the fans really, really want CM Punk to come back. I also don't exactly agree with the fact that he kind of just left and that was it. He had a really good thing going for him. He was arguably the most over wrestler in WWE, for decades. That we've seen in decades. Of course, I wasn't alive for a crazy amount. I've been alive since '96, so I've seen a lot of wrestlers like in the early 2000s and till now. But from watching it, it seems like he was probably one of the most over guys that I've ever seen on television or whatever. So we'll have to see how this would work. I think, again, it would just take a lot of mending between him and Vince and stuff like that. I would like to see. I didn't like the fact that he just kind of left and he didn't really give his farewell speech to his fans, because they are hardcore fans. They still cheer for him, even though he's not in the company. So let me know what you guys think about CM Punk and whether or not you think he will come back, and if it's even possible. Go subscribe to Miss WWE Fan 13, Legendary Edge, Britton Harrison, We the Pico. I don't even know half these people's usernames anymore, or YouTube usernames. I sound old, but I don't know all the names anymore because I've been away for so long. But don't worry, once I'm watching their videos more constantly, because I do as much as I can. The Awesome Lorenzo Bros. I try to watch as many videos as I can. I'm trying to come back and make a ton of videos too. So hopefully you guys will subscribe, stick around. Lots of collection videos coming out. Click the notification bell to be notified whenever I post. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.